Howdy, welcome to Adventures with Kendall. And today we're here at Walt Disney's Carolwood Barn here in Griffith Park. Let's go check it out. As a young boy living in Marceline, Missouri around the turn of the century, Walt Disney had a lifelong affair with trains, all from his Uncle Martin, who worked for the Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe Railroad's Marceline Division. And during the early years of his animation career, trains played an important part. In fact, after losing the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, it was on board the Santa Fe train, the California Limited, that he created the first sketches of Mickey Mouse. And while Walt was enjoying the success of his films, starting with the Mickey Mouse cartoons, leading up to motion pictures such as Dumbo and Cinderella, he would continue his love of trains, even having some appear in his animated films.
I've always been fascinated by locomotives. The older, the better.
The reason Walt got back into trains during his time at the studio was because of injuries forced him to stop playing polo. Because of this, he needed a calmer activity. It did help that two of his top animation team were also rail fans. Ward Kimball had operated his 3/4 gauge railroad, the Grizzly Flats, in the backyard of his San Gabriel home. It was here that Walt Disney rediscovered his childhood love of trains. Check out my video about the Grizzly Flats to learn more about it. Meanwhile, Ollie Johnson's hobby was live steam trains. At his home at Flint Ridge, California, he built a 4¼ gauge railroad, the La Canada Valley Railroad, which operated 3 locomotives. Inspired by Johnston and Kimball, Walt decided to have his own little railroad. And he got his wish when he finally got to build his Carolwood Pacific Railroad. It was built in the backyard of his new Holmby Hills residence, which was located along Carolwood Drive, hence the railroad's name, the Carolwood Pacific.
While waiting for the locomotive to be completed, my impatience got the best of me. I decided to take a trial run without it. I didn't know I had company. My daughters and friends were on hand with their reaction. Dad's at it again.
As for the locomotive for his new railroad, he chose to recreate the Central Pacific Locomotive 173. And to help him with the work on the engine, he turned to the machinist at the Walt Disney Studios, Roger Brogy.
Walt would come in and he would ask if he could join in the project. And my father taught him how to do machine work. Mill parts, turn pieces on a lathe, and so on. Lay out a pattern, silver solder, and he learned all of these from my dad.
In no time at all, Walt would finally get his locomotive, the Lily Bell, named after his wife, Lillian Disney.
Its old-time diamond stack intrigued me. It was built to a scale of 1.5 inches to the foot.
Features along the Carolwood Pacific include 2 tunnels, one of which being underneath Lillian Disney's garden, and a large trestle. Soon, visitors to Walt's home would get a ride on the Carolwood Pacific Railroad. Whether it's friends, people from the studio, actors such as Kirk Douglas, and even surrealist painter Salvador Dali, who was working on a project with Walt at the time. Curiously, Dali would become vice president of the Carolwood Pacific Railroad.
The fascination of model trains doesn't stop with the layman. Several of my friends who have actually been engineers on the big trains like to spend their Sundays hauling kids around on the little ones.
The time that Walt spent on the Carolwood Pacific Railroad at his home would later become the inspiration for the Disneyland Railroad at the Disneyland Park. We did a full history of the Disneyland Railroad, so check that out if you want to learn the full story of it.
In winning the West, it was the railroads that clinched the victory and welded our country together with bands of steel. These 2 iron horses are exact replicas of the old-timers that spanned our continent a century ago.
When the Disney family sold the Carolwood property in 1998, after the passing of Lillian Disney, Diane Disney Miller, Walt's eldest daughter, requested the barn be relocated. Working with Disney historian Michael Broggie, the son of Roger Broggie, they entered an agreement with the City of Los Angeles and the Los Angeles Live Steamers Railroad Museum to have the barn rebuilt on the latter's property in Griffith Park. Fitting, since Walt Disney was a charter member of the Live Steamer Group. Piece by piece, the barn was rebuilt, and on July 18, 1998, the barn was opened as a museum called Walt's Carolwood Barn. Today, Walt's Barn is a fun attraction to check out on the third Sunday of the month when it's open for visitors to explore Disney history. This is the only Disney-related attraction that is free. Not only the tour itself, but also the parking. Inside, you'll see a wonderful collection of Disney paraphernalia, whether it's model trains, photographs, or even really small artifacts, each telling the unique story of Walt Disney and his love of trains. And this is where we'll end the story for now. But we'll come back for part 2 of our Walt Disney adventure, to do a fun tour of the barn and rest of exhibits to show you what's here at Walt's Barn. I hope you had a fun time learning some unique Disney Railroad history, and we'll come back for more railroading adventures. But until then, like, subscribe, and comment down below what railroad adventures would you like to see me on. Also, follow us on our social media platforms. We'll be very grateful if you did. Well, that's all the time we have here on Railroad Adventures with Kendall. See you later, folks, and may your gifts bless the world.